If a little green is good, more is even better. Now, back to Green is Good with John Shigarian and Mike Brady.
Welcome back to Green is Good, and today we are so honored to have back on our show Seth Goldman, the president and TeaEO of Honest Tea. Welcome back to Green is Good, Seth Goldman.
Thank you. Good to be with you guys.
Hey, Seth, we got so many good responses from all around the world after our last show. We decided we had to have you back on just to do a continuation of the progression and the evolving of Honest Tea. And so we're just so thrilled that you're back with us today. What's going on today? Where have we come? Where have you taken Honest Tea since we've spoken with you last?
Yeah, well, there have been quite a few developments since we last spoke. Certainly, one of the most significant ones is that the Coca-Cola company, exercised its option to buy the rest of the company. So we now are owned by Coke, but we continue to operate as an independent unit, and I'm still the TeaEO, as I call myself, and we're still based in Bethesda, Maryland, with the same senior management team and employees that we started with. And we've been expanding. We converted our line over to fair trade. That was in process when we spoke last time, but now all of our bottled teas are fair trade certified, which is exciting. And then we just launched this month two really exciting new product lines. One is a entirely new innovation called Honest Cocoa Nova, which is a line of infused cocoa drinks. So we've taken cocoa and made it into a drink. It's quite different than anything you've really tasted before. And then the other one is something we're launching also this month. It's a zero-calorie lemonade that is sweetened organically with stevia. So there's no calories, and it's just got a really nice taste with 0 calories. So it's been a busy time for sure.
All right, well, you just gave us you basically just laid out the whole show for us because there's so much to talk about. And let's just start from the beginning, though. For those who weren't lucky enough to hear your first show, share a little bit about the Seth Goldman story, your journey, how you founded Honest Tea, and what your company's mission is.
Yeah, so I started Honest Tea 13 years ago. My co-founder was my professor from business school, and we identified that the need and the opportunity for a line of beverages without so much sugar in them. And so that was really the starting premise, and we grew over time, and we converted a line toward all organic ingredients. And so our position as a brand and as a company has been a commitment to health and to the environmental sustainability. And we've been 13 years is a long time when you're an independent beverage company, and so for us on a steady trek, expanding in the natural foods world and then beyond natural foods to some grocery and health-oriented stores, and now really what's happening this year and a process we started a few years ago, expanding our brand really into a much wider mainstream audience, and so that's the trajectory we're on now.
And when you started it, what was, just if you can simplify the mission, what was your simple mission when you started Honest Tea? That just straight from the heart, from the TeaEO of Honest Tea.
Well, we take that word honesty seriously. So it's a commitment to doing things in a straightforward way, and we say that nature got it right. Our job is just to put it in a bottle. So nothing fancy around. Really, the ingredients are all natural ingredients. There's certainly nothing artificial. And then that's the way we seek to conduct a business too. So we tread as lightly on the earth as we can, and try to respect both the earth and our consumers, and make sure they're taking in healthy products, and then to the extent we can respect our partners, and with this fair trade partnerships, is a great way to do that.
So if for our listeners out there that have their desktop, their iPad, like I'm sitting in front of my iPad now, Mike's got his laptop in front of him. Open up and look right now at Seth's amazing website, www.honesttea.com. It's beautiful. It's just a gorgeous website, and it well represents your wonderful brands. And there's so much on this website. Seth, you're one of the good guys. You're one of the real inspirations for all ecopreneurs out there, that good guys do finish first. Talk a little bit about this whole Coca-Cola thing. Last time you were on the show, they had invested some money, but they still had the option to purchase the rest of the company. You now say they've exercised that option.
Right. So they were a minority investor, and we welcomed that investment for a few reasons. Number one, we had investors who started with us 13 years ago who anytime you take money from an investor, usually the expectation, and certainly in my perspective, the commitment is that you're going to give them their money back with, and ideally with a return on it. So,
right.
13 years is a long time to hold on to anyone's money, and so we felt an obligation to make sure our investors got their money back with a return.
Sure.
But even more so, we've been expanding and continually expanding, and yet as we've grown, we've seen that there's certain channels and really certain parts of the country we just haven't been able to reach because the distribution map is too challenging, and so the partnership with Coke enables us to connect our brand and get distribution all across the country. And so today, and this is really the first time it's been the case, you can now find Honest Tea in every state, and for that matter, in every Coca-Cola warehouse. So we have the potential, and it's something that happens over time, to be wherever Coca-Cola products are sold. And that's really, for us, that's the opportunity to take our mission to a much deeper level.
Well, that's the ultimate conclusion to the great beginnings that you built from scratch to where you took it. You're seeing it to where it could have gone all the way to the end.
Right, and that's another interesting aspect of the deal. Usually, when an entrepreneur sells to a large company, an entrepreneurial company sells, the entrepreneur usually is often the first one to go because the entrepreneur sort of has a maverick attitude. You need one to succeed, and what's different about this deal is that I'm still very much here. I'm still running the company, and in fact, personally, I didn't cash out. Most of my equity is still in the company, and so I'm still committed to building this.
That is just great. So talk a little bit, because so many entrepreneurs from not only the United States, we track where all the downloads go. After the show airs, it goes on the iTunes, and we see that we get tons of downloads from South Korea, Shanghai, London, South America. So there's tons of young entrepreneurs that are always emailing Mike and I after shows, and they love when we have entrepreneurs like you on. So a little bit, the morning after, they exercise the option.
Yeah.
Obviously, you just shared the great part about it, because truly your wonderful brand is truly going to then get full sell-through, all the networks and the markets that some people never get to see. But is there, when you wake up the next morning, is there a little sadness? Is there a little, you're a little bit, what's going on in your head?
Yeah, it's a very fair question, and we're now 8 weeks since the deal was closed, and I can tell you that it really doesn't feel any different. And maybe there's something wrong with that. Maybe I should be easing up on the gas a little bit, or taking a little time to smell the flowers. But it's just what we do is so addictive and so fun and so fulfilling that I still feel the urgency, and I see that both the need and the opportunity, both in terms of where the American diet is. I was just on this panel, an obesity panel in Cleveland last week, and there really is a crisis going on there. So we've got some real needs that need to be addressed, and then obviously the environmental issues. And I know I don't have to preach to you all about how serious the situation is, and how important it is to start implementing solutions. So I'm still driven by that as what gets me up every morning, and I certainly don't feel any less in control of the business than I did before the deal. So, and I will say this is by design. I've talked to enough other entrepreneurs who, in fact, one of them was told, a green entrepreneur was told by his board, look, we're going to sell the company, and then you can go do what you want to do. And he said, but I am doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I felt the same way, and so I was careful not to sort of sign myself out of what I like doing.
Well, you structured the deal so it would really be a great partnership, and it would be a win-win for both sides. So that's kudos to you, Seth, for making it work. Seriously, not many people can really pull off the art and science of structuring that kind of deal with a wonderful and legendary brand like Coca-Cola, and you've done it, and we're really proud of you, and that's what makes you great at what you do. Talk a little bit about now. Let's go back to the Fair Trade Certified.
Sure.
Now, when you came on last time, you were in the process. Now it's done.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Break it down to layman's terms so our listeners
Sure.
can get as excited as you are about it.
Yeah. Well, the first thing it means is that we now have third-party monitoring to make sure all the working conditions and all the tea gardens that we source have been inspected, meaning, that don't just take our word for it. There's a trusted entity that's out there looking at the working conditions to make sure those are what we expect them to be, and that's obviously helps me sleep at night. But then on top of that, we're directing a portion of the sales. Whenever we buy tea, a portion of the sales goes back to these communities for them to invest as they see appropriate. And so sometimes it goes to help them create their own micro-enterprise loan fund, and that could be everything from someone buying cows to help, whether supply milk or, be part of the garden, or maybe they're buying, one of the loans went to help one of the people in the village start an orchid, an orchid business. So it's just all kinds of different ways that we're helping these communities attain their own measure of economic self-sufficiency, and that's really, obviously the biggest thing, the biggest impact we have on these communities is buying tea. That's really what the single biggest driver of economic opportunity. But to the extent we can do it in a way that really helps them enhance their own economic condition is something that's certainly consistent with our mission.
That's great. So that makes a lot of sense, and I see why you're so excited about it, and that even makes the honest part of your process. It even just validates it more, even though you've been doing it the right way from day one. It's great to get that fair trade certification. Talk a little bit about the National Forest Foundation. I've read it myself in the papers, that you now have teamed up with them to plant trees across the United States. Why the National Forest Foundation partnering with Honesty? Explain the relationship and the nexus there.
Well, there's a fun backstory to this, which actually goes, back to our roots. So when we started the company back in 1998, Barry and I were just finalizing the labels, and literally, kind of at the 11th hour, I said, hey, I want to just put a little logo on the back of the label, and it's a circle with a tree on it, and you'll still see it on the back of our bottles, and it says plant a tree, and it's got a little picture of a tree. And Barry said, well, what does that mean? I said, this is back in 1998. I don't know exactly what it means, but it's a commitment that we're going to be doing more than just moving around boxes of liquid.
Right.
And so what we've seen over the years is, obviously the first step was making our product organic, and that was sort of a commitment to building something. But what's been really exciting this year is we are literally planting trees. So we have a promotion that we're doing with retailers. When a consumer buys a certain amount of product, they can do a few things. Number one, they can get a reusable shopping bag, which is a more sustainable step. But they also have the ability to go onto our Facebook page and plant trees without having to get their hands dirty. And it's a way for us to help. And the trees are specifically planted in state parks, places where, whether either through fire or through other environmental problems, there's a real need to restore the greenery. And obviously we all know that the benefits of trees, it's not just not only the shade and the beauty, but the role they play in helping convert CO2 back into oxygen. So there's a fundamental part of our own sustainability is connected to trees, and so this is a really exciting partnership for us.
How many trees? What's your
goal?
Yeah,
we're targeting 50,000 trees. So last year we planted 10,000.
Right.
And this year we're hoping to both plant 50,000 trees and to give out 50. I think we're actually over 100,000 reusable shopping bags. So we're growing. Every year we grow, and the impact grows as well.
Well, growing fivefold as far as planting the trees, Seth, I think we can all breathe a lot easier thanks to your efforts.
I hope so.
For those again who just joined our show, please, we're so honored today to have Seth Goldman, the TeaEO and president and founder of Honest Tea, on with us today. If you got your iPad or laptop in front of you, tune into his website. It is just amazing. www.honesttea.com. Going about what we were just talking about, on the website, there's a beautiful banner that talks about the Plant a Tree program and how it works with regards to the forest and what's in use with the bags that you give out. But also, Seth, here, there's something that says rethink what you drink, drinkorganic.com. Watch the rap battle. Wait a second now. What is this?
Well, this has been a lot. This one's a lot of fun. Part of what and this was really fun to do, especially on the heels of the Coke deal, because I think the first instinct people think is, you sign a deal with Coke and you start acting corporate, and you start thinking conservatively, and I won't say we did it just because of that, but my longtime friend and board member Gary Hirschberg from Stonyfield Farm recently did a rap called "Just Eat Organic," and it's a lot of fun and very, very informative. And he put it on his website, and so in the tradition, where rappers sort of start feuds or have take up response raps to each other, I wanted to point out that yes, it's important to eat organic, but you also have to rethink what you drink. And so we got a lot of our employees and my son to join in putting together a 2-minute rap video. It was a lot of fun. My favorite line in there was, middle-aged guys rapping, what could be sadder? I'll tell you, Holmes, what you put in your bladder. So we, talk about organic and why it's important. And it is, my oldest son is off to college next year, and it was one chance to make sure I got to make sure he got embarrassed before he heads off to school.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Well, wrapping aside, when you scroll down on your page, again on your landing page, there's beautiful photos of your drinks, and I want to talk a little bit about them because some of them you didn't have before when I've been started drinking your drink. So, for instance, I see Honest Kids. When did you launch Honest Kids, and how's that doing?
That's been on fire. So that in 2007. We had started selling, our Honest Aid line, which is a line of, drinks with juice in them. And at the same time that line started to grow, my middle son came to me one day and said, "Hey, Dad, how come you sell all these healthy drinks to adults, but you put really sugary drinks in my lunchbox?" And, he totally caught me, and I, without thinking, like a lot of people, was just buying, what we put in the store and then knew we needed to drink at lunch. And I looked at the calorie profile, and it's 100 calories per pouch. I said, "Oh my gosh, that's more sugar in that drink than there is in a per ounce in a can of soda."
Wow.
And so that was really the one of the founding motivations for launching a line of Honest Kids, which is a drink pouch drinks for kids. And it's not only for kids, by the way, but it is obviously the packaging of the pouch is perfect for a lunchbox. And that line last year was almost 30% of our sales. So it's really exploded in an exciting way, and it's obviously something that's great for kids and also more sustainable because it is organic.
Then I see next to that you have Honest Kombucha, which is a very kombucha tea seems to have taken off. Talk a little bit about the launch of that and how that's gone.
It took off, and for us it took off, and then it faded away. That was a really fun line. We brought it out last year. It got a great response, but there were some challenges with kombucha where it has it's a fermented product, and so it has some alcohol content. And what we found was, number one, that the federal regulations around alcohol have been evolving, and one of the things that we saw where it was headed was that if the product had the potential to become alcohol content increase, it would be regulated in a different way, and that's the challenge. Is if someone didn't store it the right way, or it was left on a loading dock and not kept cold, it could keep fermenting. So we reluctantly have discontinued that line, and we remember it fondly, but we also just. As much as we live with risk, as entrepreneurs, that was one that was Seth, a little beyond what we wanted. We're comfortable with.
Well, I tried it, and it was delicious. I got to just tell you, so I just want you to know you have a fan here.
We do miss it.
Hey, so talk a little bit about at the top of the show, you talked about some of the new brands you just have out that are real exciting. Share that with our listeners.
Sure. Yeah. So this was a really exciting concept. It's something we learned about 5 years ago, believe it or not, and it just took a long time to get to market. But cocoa is, a really wonderful ingredient. It has natural antioxidants in it. It's got theobromine and a whole array of health properties to it. Often it's people don't associate cocoa as a healthy product because it's often, they get it in the form of chocolate, which has additional calories and fat. And so we said, well, what if you could take the health properties of cocoa and make them into a drink, and so we worked together with the Hershey Company to develop this technology that enables us to do that. So the line called Honest Cocoa Nova, and it comes in 3 varieties: there's a mint, a cherry, and a mocha. And it's just hitting the market this month. And it's primarily in the natural food stores, so you'll see it in Whole Foods and natural foods, retailers. But I expect that it'll expand beyond that too, because it's getting a phenomenal response. It's really, it's wonderful. You sort of get your chocolate fix if that's what you're looking for, but with only 50 calories per bottle.
Right. Great. Wonderful. Talk a little bit about also what's the next steps? Where's the evolution besides your new drink line?
Right.
Where do you want to go? Now you've done it. You've grown this thing, and this wonderful company is growing up to be the tree that you wanted it to be. And you're going to get the distribution you always dreamed about. What's next? I mean, what do you see on the horizon?
But it's really still at a very early stage. As much as we feel like we have made a lot of progress, I don't want to in any way minimize, because I know it's been a lot of work. But now we're just getting started with the chance to make this a national beverage and a mainstream beverage, and one that people think about. So I'd say we have the platform. After all these years of work, now we have the platform to make this a national brand.
Sure.
And so the challenge now is we need to reach people, and we need to be relevant to people who aren't maybe our natural or our first audience. People who don't necessarily understand what organic means, and for a lot of people, we're going to be the first organic product they taste. So, we're launching this month in 1,400 Walmart stores across the country, and that's a totally new channel, and people there aren't necessarily as familiar with what organic is, but Walmart is the largest retailer of overall of organic foods, just because I guess they're the largest retailer of just about everything. So, once again, it's a chance to reach new people, and so our challenge will be, how do we make sure we can, number one, gain access to those people? How do those people find out about our product?
Sure.
How do they be attracted to it? How do they start talking about it, and then how do they start making it a part of their daily habit?
Right. And there's, we've had the great people from Walmart on the show, and we're so excited they're going to be carrying your line of products, because what we've learned about Walmart is when they really do something and they make a decision to carry your brand, they really get to move the needle.
Yeah, and they have this commitment to making healthier products more accessible, and so we fit very much in line with that. Oh,
that is just great news. Seth, unfortunately, we're down to the last 2 minutes or so. Some pearls of wisdom for our budding entrepreneurs out there, and also some things to do to be more green, because we know that you really not only talk an amazing talk, but you walk a great walk. Share just some last thoughts with our listeners out there.
I think one important thing is to make sure you really stand for something and stick to it. As I look back now, 13 years, there were, and there still are occasions where someone says, "Hey, you know what? If you made this product a little bit sweeter, you could sell a lot more of it." Well, it's true, that's where people's appetites were. But if we had done that, we would have diluted what the brand stood for. So, make sure you know what your brand is about, what your enterprise is about, and really stick to that. I mean, it doesn't mean you don't evolve, and obviously we have evolved as a company and as a brand. But you really got to make sure you have a singular, differentiated reason for being, and then make sure that shines through. And then the only other thing I'd say is make sure you can communicate that point of difference, not just to yourself, but to your team, and that's why they understand that's what it's about, and so the rest of that, if you do that work well, and you hire people who share that vision, everybody else, will get it, and eventually will come on board.
Well, Seth, well said. We're so honored to have you back. We're going to invite you back again, because you're always one of our great shows. And for our listeners out there, please go to Seth's beautiful website, www.honesttea.com. Also, drink honest tea and plant the tree. Seth Goldman, you're an amazing ecopreneur and TeaEO, and truly living proof that green is good.